In this video, I will tell you about making and clipping viewports. So right now we have this layout view in which we have already set the page. We have already decided the plotter, the size of paper and the plotter margins and other details. Now we'll add our viewports, and to add the viewport, I'll go to this layout tab. Now here in this layout tab, we have this layout viewports option here. Now on this panel, we have this rectangular. So click on this drop down and select this rectangular option. Now click at a starting point somewhere inside the plotter margins and click at the second point. Now as soon as you'll do this, you'll notice that all the components of the drawing area will be visible within these boundaries, and this is the viewport. So when you hover your cursor over this, you'll see this viewport on the tooltip. Also, when you click on the boundary, you'll see these 4 grips at the end, and using these grips you can modify the boundary of this viewport. So you can now click on this grip, you can move it, and that will clip the area which is visible. Now currently this viewport is on the layout, but it will behave as a model space object when you double click inside it. So when I double click inside this viewport, it will completely behave independent of the layout view. As you can see, when I'm panning my drawing here, it's panning the complete drawing and it's not affecting anything which is outside. Now in order to get rid of this, if you want to move out, simply double click outside. Now we are outside the viewport. Now if you pan your drawing, it will pan the complete drawing just like this. Now if you double click inside and if you zoom in and zoom out, that will also affect only the viewport, and if you double click outside and zoom in and zoom out, it will affect the complete layout. You can create as many viewports as you want, so I'll click on this rectangular once again and I'll click another viewport here. And here again we have the complete drawing, so it's fitted completely within the viewport and you can edit it from its boundaries. Now in this case, we are adding these viewports randomly, but you can also add some named or automatically created viewports. So I'll erase both of them. So I'll select them and I'll simply erase it. So erasing the viewport will not erase your model space object. So when you go to model space, you'll still have these drawings. So I'll go to floor plan, and now here I will add some automatic viewports. So I'll go to layout, and here we have this named option. So let's select this named and go to new viewports and select from any of these presets. So we have 2 vertical. Now in this case, 2 viewports will be added, 2 horizontal, 3 right, left, above, below, and all of these settings. So whatever you want, you can select from this list. So I'll select this viewport configuration, click on OK. Now click at a starting point. So I'll click on this top left and I'll click on this bottom right, and all the viewports will be fitted within this area. Now in this case, as I mentioned earlier, if you double click within any of these viewports, it will activate the model space, and also all of these model space tools will be visible. Now if you modify anything within this model space, then it will also be modified in the original model space, and it will also modify all of these remaining drawings. So if you just try to add a circle, let's add it here. I'll add 1 circle here. You'll notice that the same circle will be added here as well as here. I'll click outside, so I'll double click here. Now I'll go to model view, and we have the circle here also. So that is simply activating the model view, and we can now remove it, and that will be removed from all of these instances of layout and model space. Now in these cases, you can zoom in and zoom out this drawing, and this may even happen accidentally. So what if you don't want to change the position of objects within a viewport? In that case, you can simply lock it. So right now I have set this object here, and right now you can see that only east elevation is visible in this viewport. Now let's say that we want to lock it so that the changes don't affect anything within this viewport. So for that, I'll double click outside. Now I'll select the viewport boundaries, and then I'll right click and select this display locked option and select yes. Now we have this viewport completely locked. So let's double click inside. We still have these model space objects, but when I zoom in and zoom out, it will zoom out or zoom in the complete layout, not the objects within the viewport. You can not only log and unlock this viewport from the right contextual menu, but you can do that from the layout tab also. So go to the layout tab, and now as you know that this viewport is locked. So when I zoom in and zoom out, it is completely locked. So in order to unlock it, go to this layout viewports panel and select this unlock option. Now select the viewport which you want to unlock. In this case, I want to select this one. So I'll select it and now press enter. Now it is unlocked. So now if you zoom in or zoom out, it will affect the complete drawing within this layout. So I'll double click outside, and now we have this layout view deactivated. You can also clip viewports to show some of the selected regions. For example, here we have this viewport. Let's double click within this and I'll zoom into this area. Now let's say that we only want to show this main hall and we don't want all of these objects. For that, you can simply drag these boundaries. So I'll double click outside and I'll select the boundary, or I'll just simply drag it like this. So you can do that, or there is an alternate method also. So using that alternate method, you can simply create a new boundary and that will be shown instead of this viewport. So I'll double click outside and I'll select this clip option. Now select the viewport which you want to clip. In this case, I want to select this one. Now press enter. Now specify the starting point. So this will be the starting point somewhere over here. Now the second point, the third point, the fourth one. And in this case, if you want, you can select a little bit random shape also. So I'll simply click on this point and then on this point. Now this is the boundary which we want finally. So I'll press enter. And you'll notice that the boundaries will be clipped just like this, and that viewport will be removed. So that's the main hall which we have in our view. You can not only make your viewports in rectangular shape, but you can also make them of very random shapes. So I'll remove all of these viewports for now. And now I'll go to this rectangular option once again. And now I'll select this polygonal option. Now you can create a polygon. So I'll start with this point. Then I'll click at this point. Then this point. Now I'll select arc, because we can make an arc with this polygon option. Now I'll track this point. I'll click here. Now I'll select line and I'll click at this point and press enter. Now we have a completely random shape of viewport. As you can see here, you can double click inside and that viewport will be active. Let's double click outside. So you can not only make it with the polygon, but you can also use objects. So I'll go to home tab. I'll select a circle. Let's say that we want a circular viewport. I'll do that. I'll make a circle. Let's get back to layout. Now select the drop down and select object. Now click on this circle and we have a new viewport, a circular one. So double click inside and we have it here just like this. Let's double click outside to deactivate it. In all of these situations, the objects within the viewport will always remain visible, but you can hide them temporarily if you want. For example, if you don't want to show any of these objects within the circular viewport, simply select the viewport boundary, right click and select display viewport objects. In this option, select no. And now all the objects within the viewport will be hidden, even though the viewport is still there, but nothing will be visible. In order to make it visible again, select it, right click, go to display viewport objects and select yes. And the objects within the viewport are again visible. So that was all about making our viewports and clipping them.